Zach, it's a pleasure to have you here today.
Thanks for having me.
It's always an honor to interview a fellow military member, veteran. We've been friends for a long time, and I just want to say, first of all, I appreciate our deep friendship.
Oh, for sure.
That we've had for a long, long time, and you've always had my back, and
Yeah.
you know that's the same way for you. So, we're going to go through a lot of things during this interview. We're going to talk about where you grew up, what your inspirations were, what you like to listen to, what you consider a good leader, and then just how some of the things that you've experienced in the Marines and the battlefields of Afghanistan, how it relates to teamwork, loyalty, and brotherhood.
Right.
So, you ready to get started?
Let's do it.
Okay, so kind of tell us where you grew up.
So I'm from North Carolina, Asheville, so the Appalachians in the western part of North Carolina. Small town back in the day, but it's pretty blown up now. It's a pretty big spot for beer and food, and it's pretty great.
Some of your favorites.
Yeah, right. No, I grew up there till I was 18. I went to Irwin High School. Not much industry out there as far as like a job. So when I was in high school, I was trying to figure things out,
So what'd you do? What'd you like about the town? What'd you do growing up?
We did a lot of hunting. So I grew up in a hunting family. My dad, my grandpa, we always hunted every year.
I saw one of your pictures you sent me.
You know?
Yeah,
So,
exactly. Yeah, and you
hiking, fishing, the camping
Just
every summer with the family, all that kind of
the
stuff.
great outdoors.
So, yeah, it's really good. So most of my hunting background is coming from my dad and my grandpa.
Are they your inspiration?
Oh yeah. Specifically probably more my grandpa. He grew up in the woods hunting to feed himself as a kid, and then translating that to his sons, and then we all grew up wearing camouflage, running around, being a bunch of idiots. But
that wasn't farm to table. That was woods to table.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So
yeah.
What about him inspired you?
Man, he's a tough son of a bitch. So my grandpa was in the Army in the late 50s as an Army Ranger, and just knowing how hard he is and how tough my dad was and how he came up, and man, there's a lot of inspiration there and a lot of boots to fill, the two great men in my life that led the way.
That's pretty amazing. Yeah, now I understand a little bit more. I know we talk about a lot of things, and sometimes I forget to ask about those things. But so you obviously had this military heroes in your back of your mind,
Right.
Your dad, your father, strong father figures, inspiration. Then you went into the Marines when you were 18.
Right. So I just remember driving down Patton Avenue one day and I saw the billboard, and I'm a junior in high school at this point. I'm always thinking about what the future's going to hold, and I just swung in there and I'm like, hey, let me get on this, and then they're like, well, let me ask all these questions. And I'm like, dude, I don't care about these questions. I'm going to join the military. So convinced my dad to come down and sign for me, went to MEPS.
Oh, at 17?
Yeah,
really?
so I went at 17. Did the delayed entry program there for a bit till I finished high school, and then shipped off for after high school. So, yeah. But the biggest thing as far as the military, I think I was always I was in the World War II a lot, watching the History Channel and Military Channel, stuff like that. But specifically whenever 9/11 happened, and when I was a kid, watching that on TV and being like, I hope we can get these guys. And then war's still going when I'm coming of age, and I'm going to go get mine.
What did you, growing up, teach you or help you to, I don't want to use the term endure, but get through and understand being in the military? But you're like me, you just love that environment.
Yeah, my dad was a pretty tough guy. He was real hard on us, specifically the boys, growing up. So when I went to basic, I kind of thought it was a joke with the amount of yelling, my old man yelled at me way harder than that. And I told my dad that, and he thought it was the funniest thing in the world. But, he'd always taught us, no matter how hard things are, you can always push through. And he did it by example, too, specifically, so my mom died from cancer when I was 11, and he had 4 kids, so he's by himself.
Wow.
You know what I mean? And, so watching him making, basically minimum wage, supporting us, I'm like, this guy,
That's
man.
That's wild.
And he never showed like he was down or letting things get to, whenever he was around us, it was always.
He realized it wasn't your burden to carry.
Yeah, I mean, it was really on his shoulders, you know. He obviously had support from, like, my grandparents helped out with us and stuff like that, but, like, man, like having 4 kids in the house and you're making $12 an hour, you know, like, man.
How many brothers and sisters you have?
So I have now I have 3 sisters and a brother, so there's 5 of us total.
And he raised you all. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, and then my stepmom came along, which helped out tremendously. Kathy, I couldn't ask for a better stepmom.
That's pretty
amazing.
amazing.
Also, my mom, she really took up a lot of the slack there for a lot of us there later in my teenage years. But
that's pretty amazing for your dad to do that.
Yeah, man, he was. After I grew up and like really realized the gravity of that situation, I was like, dude, how did you? I'd always ask him like, how'd you do it? And he's like, I didn't have a choice. You know?
Yeah, that's a real, that's a real man right there.
Yeah, and like I kind of carry that mentality with some of the things that I do, and I'm like, man, you just got to do this stuff. Like you don't have a choice, you know. Like no matter how hard it is, you just got to keep pushing.
That's I have this little mantra. So like you remind me of it. I mean, Zach, who we interviewed last, not Zach, you're Zach, with Chad, and then your dad, and then a lot of our brothers in arms. We talk about ordinary men, extraordinary performance,
right,
and focus
for sure.
And then I know we've been through kind of hell together.
I mean, it really comes down to like who you surround yourself with in certain situations like that. I've been lucky enough in my adult life to have men like you and Chad and Russ and my buddy Mike, like the guys that when things are tough or if I don't know what to do or just some kind of crazy life situation, like these dudes got your back no matter what's going on. So
yeah, and back at you on that one. I mean, just our extraordinary friendship. We talk about it regularly.
I mean, it's too common these days. I feel like that, like your friends are just more of like at what you see at face value, But man, when you find those guys that like actually show up, you can't pass that by. You can't let those guys like just fall off to the wayside. Like you got to hold on to that friendship, and because at the end of the day, you guys are going to see it through whatever's going on, or they got your back. You know what I mean? Like
I can say you're one of the handful of guys that if I pick up the phone day or night, or you pick up the phone when I call you,
character goes a long way.
Where did you learn that?
I would have to say it was from my dad, that character, like.
And you carried that forward to the Marines.
Yeah.
And how did the Marines enhance that? And teamwork, and let's talk about what do you consider a good leader? We'll start there.
It's kind of multifaceted. And it kind of leads back to passion. I was thinking about this, especially when it applies to other fields, and not just the military. When you're passionate about something, that's contagious, So when you're in a leadership position, if you're really into that job and you care about the people that are around you that are supporting you in that endeavor, that's very contagious, and it's going to inspire other people to do their best. You know what I mean? Right. So when you come to leadership, man, if you just care about what's going on, care about the people that are actually underneath you and around you. So
what do leaders need to do to show that care?
Well, I mean, that's pretty multifaceted too. But understanding the job and then understanding what the goal is, and if you're like a leader on a project or something, and you know what the end result needs to look like.
So a mission and a vision.
Yeah, and you share that. You're gonna have people that in certain places that are gonna do their part, and as long as they understand what the end result needs to look like.
So you needed to give them the why behind that.
Yeah, there's a lot of military doesn't really care too much about you understanding the why as far as what the mission needs to be and what you need to accomplish. But
you worked in a kitchen where you took forward that knowledge of the Marines, your dad, and to kind of tell us about that and how
what an experience.
The lessons from the battlefield of teamwork. We talked about.
Yeah, so carrying over the stuff in the military, like especially when it comes to like a kitchen aspect. You rely on the guys on your left and right, but the same thing on like a line. So, you got tickets coming in and things are getting crazy. And if you need help, you got to speak up. But just being able to rely on each other and pushing through the busy times and doing all the prep work that you need to do. And, man, it can.
So preparation, mission
planning.
planning.
Because obviously kitchen, you got like prep cooks and all that kind of stuff. But everybody's moving in that one direction. But, keeping your cool, man, whenever things are getting real hectic, and just knowing what you need to get done, getting that stuff out, like.
Right. So how does that, because I kind of know, we've talked over the years, we've been friends for a long time, about a life philosophy. And I want to extend it forward. We talked about your grandpa, your dad, what your stepmom did, and then, of course, what you did in the Marines. And we're going to talk about some of the best memories of food there, of what that, how does that planning and execution and teamwork apply moving forward? How do you make that work? How can we convince people or talk to people about excellence?
Man, it all boils down to I listen to you guys talk about micro decisions. Excellence doesn't start just when you need to show up and perform. You know what I mean? That's something that you have to do every day. The stuff you don't want to do. Discipline. You wake up.
Yeah, we've done some things where we're just like,
you might hate what is going on that day, but it ain't gonna be forever, and you got to get that done.
Right, exactly. I know we both hold the philosophy. You just don't complain.
No,
you just do.
It ain't gonna. Whatever hardship is going on, or whatever task you're trying to get done, it ain't gonna be forever.
Right.
Tomorrow is gonna be another day.
So just get through that
day.
Man,
just carry that weight and keep going, because eventually it's going to get lighter. You're going to get stronger. The task is going to be a little more easy. You become more knowledgeable.
Right. And I just remember you teaching me something.
But bringing excellence to like the workplace or anything you're doing, really, that's the focus in your mind, and then every decision based around that. Like that is something that you have to be like cognitive of in every decision you're doing every day. I'm not just an athlete doesn't wake up one day and the race is tomorrow and is like, I'm going to go run the fastest a human can and set a world record. They're waking up every single day, training, constantly thinking about that one thing.
The mission.
Exactly.
So they know their vision and their mission, and then they make their decisions every day. Like you said, the micro decisions.
Yeah.
What time I'm going to get up? What time I'm going to eat?
Yeah.
What time I'm going to train? What am I going to do for recovery?
Right.
What am I going to do for, after playing for the next day?
Yeah.
And all those different things.
And finding that passion too, like it took me a while to find something that I really cared like so much about that it consumed every thought. And that came down to being in the backcountry hunting animals, like that's one of the things that drives almost everything I do. So
yeah, I want to before we get into that, the Quest Outfitters, I want to talk about also some meals you've had. Because this is a food magazine, Colorado Food Magazine. And you're breaking bread together. So some of when we first met, we had a lot of dinners talking about different things, and with the other things we were doing in life.
All right.
What are some of the best memories you've had with meals and sharing? It could be overseas, it could be with your family, it could be all the above.
I think it's kind of funny, I guess, but so when I was on my last deployment in Afghanistan, we were like on the last stop for resupplies. So by the time that we had gotten our food, it was like the same exact thing every time, and it was always the trash stuff. So a lot of us are getting real tired of that, We did a patrol down to the bazaar and picked up a bag of rice and some potatoes and brought it back. And there was a buddy that in our platoon from Louisiana, believe it or not, and he had some Creole and he could cook a little bit.
Did?
Yeah.
Out there in the
I don't know. I guess his family.
Were you in a COP or a FOB?
We're on a patrol base.
Okay.
So we get this food back. And then basically every day what we were doing is for dinner, we made the platoon potatoes and rice with Creole. It's just a shitload of Creole in there, man. And that's really like when I think about food, I think about that.
That's
that
amazing.
Rice and
especially
rice and potatoes. It was how
the
simple,
simplicity of it.
Cooking. We took the Hesco wire and built a grate, like a grill, and we somehow got a hold of a huge pot, and we just every day we were eating.
In the middle of Afghanistan,
dinner. Yeah, that was like our platoon dinner. It was rice and potatoes with the Creole.
What'd that do for morale?
Dude, honestly, as simple as that meal is, knowing I was getting that at the end of the day, it was like, that was almost everything. Because you're eating the same exact stuff, but man, that one thing.
That little thing.
That little thing.
Because we say that food and memories behind it, whether it be the family memory, whether it be, on the battlefields of Afghanistan and in the middle of nowhere, you're remembering that.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
There's other things too. I remember once the first time I had goat meat there, it was some old farmer had made it, we're all hanging out, and it was like this greasy little pan of goat meat. It was like a little gamey, but it wasn't too bad. But food is a weird thing with humans.
Yeah, we all have it in common.
Yeah,
and then some of my best memories in life are always that.
And then a lot of cultures built around what's shared at the dinner table, and then a lot of like Eastern cultures, like eating food with your left hand is a no-go. That's a sign of disrespect, or it's.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
actually, I did. So what am I saying then? What am I saying?
Yeah, man. I remember, and another thing I remember too, specifically about that deployment, was the first time that I had. It was like rice with sugar on it. It was like chilled a little bit. It's like a dessert tray.
Well, that's very common to something in the Mexicans and the Latin cultures.
And then foot bread, which is pretty close to like pita or tortillas or something like that.
Wow.
But yeah, it was really good. But growing up, we eat a lot of fried food in the South.
Right, exactly.
Mashed potatoes, stuff like that. My mama, she, remember when I was a kid, she made me, my dad had always talked about growing up eating these pan-sized pancakes. And
oh, really?
I convinced her
he's a pretty big guy.
Yeah. Well, and I convinced her one day to make them for me, and they're a pancake bigger than your plate.
Oh, that's
they're huge.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So what do you? We talked about all this food, the Marine Corps, the food. What do you consider your life philosophy? If I can delve into that.
I was thinking about how to answer that question, and it kind of boils down to like my experience on this planet. Haven't been surrounded by so much like death in a sense. I'm acutely aware of my time here. I got things I want to get done, and that's what drives me. I'm not taking this for granted. We all have a clock that is ticking, and it is not stopping.
Yeah.
And that's what drives me to do the things that I'm passionate about, and pursue things to live this life to the fullest that I can. We don't have forever, and I don't expect to be here another 100 years, So
right. You want to make a difference.
Yeah,
you want to leave a legacy.
Improve my life, and I want to improve people that I care about, their lives, and pursue the happiness, that we fought for, and that many have died for us to have. So
yeah, I can appreciate that. Yeah, some of I know just the talks we've had offline about celebrating your buddies,
right?
Earning this life.
Yeah. So I can't boil it down to maybe a sentence of philosophy, but just knowing the sacrifices that people have made for me to be here.
Earning it.
Yeah, I owe more than I have.
Well, I can. You certainly. I can speak from experience. You epitomize brotherhood,
right,
and teamwork and friendship.
Right.
So, what other things inspire you?
Man, when you look at the things you want to do, you can look to the people who have already been successful in that genre or field, and they've already kind of laid out kind of like a blueprint for you. But whatever you're going to pursue, you can kind of look to that and see how
role models.
Excellent. Yeah, I mean, it's hard. You don't want to idolize people too much because everyone's got faults, but man, you can definitely take the lessons that they've learned,
the framework and the architecture.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, I know it's. I just think about some of the guys that we're surrounded with. It's
sure.
Pretty amazing.
Yeah,
man. And I know when life gets hard, sometimes we just we just gotta look at each other.
Yeah, and it's easy to get caught up too in that day-to-day grind of where you're just kind of going through the motions too. I'm not perfect by any means, but it's easy to get caught up in just a week goes by and you're like, what the hell just happened this last week? I've been checked out.
Right. Well, sometimes we do need to check out in life and things and do those things. But when we talk about friendship, we talk about helping each other. We talk about your passions. When we were talking with Chad last week, and I've known about this, but we want to talk. You always want to help others. I can always appreciate that about you. Is especially fellow veterans.
Sure.
But you also want to talk about. Let's talk about Quest Outfitters.
Okay.
What do you want to do with that? We talked about the house. We talked about the memories of food. I mean, that's just culture that's just incredible lowering of barriers amongst all cultures when we get together. What do you want to do with that?
To give you a little backstory on kind of how this all kind of came about. So I've been hunting all my life, obviously. Post-military, I didn't touch camouflage or weapon to go pursue animals. For whatever reason in my mind, like I was kind of...
You're done with killing.
I was just like, or I didn't think that would do anything to help where I was at mentally. Until one day I decided, I'm just going to go deer hunt. And then, which kind of like re-inspired getting back into all of that. So the next year, I saw elk when I was out there the first year, and I was like, man, I'm going to do elk hunting. So the next year, got a tag, did all this ton of research.
Planning.
Mission
planning,
I'll do it.
Execution,
that's
detail.
the one thing that's nice about hunting is it's pretty close to military operations. Yeah. But no, so like being out in the woods, I ended up being out there by myself for a bit. And, man, the up and downs in your mind going up and down mountains, you really you really start digging the closet out, And coming out of the woods after a long time out there by myself, man, I just felt so much better about life and the things that I wasn't too sure about or I'd been struggling with. Nature, being out in the woods with a sole purpose out there, kind of like cured me. And I was just thinking, like, man, if only like some other guys who are probably struggling somewhere where they don't have this kind of access could come out and experience this. Like it would definitely help. And especially with veterans, man, like, cause there's not too much of a transitional assistance when it comes with the military.
I'll say there's zero.
Yeah, they put all this money. I heard the guy who owns Black Rifle, Evan, talk about this a little bit. They dump all this money into you to train you to be this efficient killing machine, and then whenever it's time for you to part ways, there's no money or no time spent.
We have to develop our own networks because
that's really what I think is going on right now. When you look around with these veteran-owned companies, it's like they recognize the void there, and they're trying to step up to help with these guys coming out of the military because there is no assistance.
Yeah,
and it's really hard to find something after the military that like makes you have that like
purpose, mission, teamwork, camaraderie.
Because you do all these different jobs. I mean, I've worked 100 different jobs after the military, and it wasn't until in the last 5 years that I found something that actually gave me purpose in life again, as far as job goes. But as far as the hunting aspect and being in the woods, like the clarity of mind that you get from being out in nature and just
pretty amazing. What I meant to ask at the start, I know it, but for our audience, what did you do in the Marines?
Okay, so I was an infantryman by trade, and then I also had a contract to a FAST team, which is a Fleet Anti-Terrorism Security Team. So I spent a few years on the FAST team, my first few years in the Marines, and then transitioned back over to the line companies with the infantry.
You've also trained with some foreign militaries?
Yep. So with FAST, they have like some pretty historical missions, and then they also do security missions across Europe, Africa, and Asia. So I got the opportunity while I was in the FAST team to go to Israel and train with those guys, train with 10th Group, a lot of good training going on.
Oh, yeah. And then that's, I think, you always, one thing I've noticed about you go for the best, the excellence.
Yeah. I mean, what else is there?
Exactly. And so back to the Quest. I wanted to give people the background of what you did in the Marines, now coming forward to the Quest Outfitters. And what you want to do with that. You want to have a house, build a house, or back up. You want to do hunting trips.
Yeah, so basically what the goal of that's going to be, ultimately, I mean, we're going to take pretty much anyone out on a guided hunt, but the whole goal for that to support is to bring veterans out and to get them on hunting trips and get them on an animal.
That's great. I love hunting too. I love, it's been a long, long time. Because I just didn't do it after the transition out.
I mean, because I just feel like the way that hunting helps me, and the way I know that Chad also it helps him. I'm like, this is something that could benefit a lot of people that don't know what they need, and then here it is.
If people wanted to be guided by a Marine.
Yeah, I mean,
and then an Army guy.
imagine being like some 25-year-old veteran or 30-year-old veteran. You don't really have the network of support of friendship like I have. I'm fortunate for that. And then you got me and Chad, a couple of rednecks from the South taking you out on a hunt, in the Rocky Mountains. I mean, that sounds pretty great to me.
Oh yeah. I'm sure it will be.
Yeah.
So, but do you have how would somebody wanting to get a hold of you? They can always call us.
So, right now we haven't had the website stood up yet, but right now you can find me on Instagram at Wallace of the Rockies. And then we also have Quest Outfitters Instagram up right now, which is linked to my page. So,
well, great. Well, I'll make sure people know about that.
Yeah.
And so that's pretty amazing what you want to do there. But I love. And if you ever need any chefs or recipes,
we're definitely going to be utilizing you for that. So,
are there any other memories in life in the Marines or life that you think epitomizes teamwork, epitomizes excellence? Besides the people you're surrounded, Chad's just a great guy and world-class excellence along with you, that you would want to talk about that just epitomizes what we're trying to achieve here: teamwork, excellence, leadership, and education. What would you tell an 18-year-old you?
Hey, you're an idiot. No, no, man. There was a time where I was pretty young in the leadership role. So I'm training these guys. We're getting ready to go on a deployment. And I recognized the talent that I had in my squad. And some of these guys were way more experienced than I was. So I recognized that. And so what I did was, with a fresh team, I had like a boot drop. So I took my seniors and I paired them with the junior guy. And so when we were out training, I'm like, all I want you to do is watch these juniors and correct them as we go along, because it's kind of hard to get that one-on-one feedback, So we did the training, and my seniors were there, and they were a little enforceful about mistakes. And then once we went on deployment, man, we got into a fight, and me and the point man are a little tied up at the time, and
that's an understatement.
And I turn around, and my team's already doing exactly what I wanted them to do. And that came back to the time that we had spent training and taking the knowledge that I knew I had in the guys in my squad and translating that into the juniors. Man,
so mentoring them?
Yeah, so they mentored pretty
well.
Yeah, pretty well. And so whenever it came to where the meat hits the road, I turned around and they were already. I didn't even have to give any commands, man. They were already in action, doing exactly what I wanted done. And
so it's like an orchestra playing the music.
It really was, man. And it was honestly, like, even in that chaos, in my mind, I was super proud not of myself, but of them.
Yeah. And you were able to detach for a moment.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because I just saw it, and in whatever clicked in my mind, I was like, man, like, these guys get it. They all the hard work and the training we put in, and some of them probably still hate me, but
no, I doubt that.
But they were alive, and the enemy's not. So that was a beautiful thing to see, is when your hard work comes to fruition like that.
Oh, I bet. Yeah, that's what we're trying to convey with our. We had a meeting the other day, the HRA Leadership and Education Forum, about teamwork, about mentorship, about the path of progression, all the things we're trying to do at our organization, help organizations like yours that helping others, fellow veterans. 'Cause that's always near and dear to my heart, and just educate and elevate others. Yeah,
man. You can go a long way whenever you care about the people under you and pulling them up. That teamwork. A lot of people think about teamwork as like a football team, where you have every position, those guys have one job. But if you're actually investing into the people that are around you and making them multifaceted professionals,
that'll go a long way.
Man, you can go far.
I firmly believe that. That's what we do. Is we have a team here that we're accomplishing things that I didn't think we'd be able to accomplish this fast. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, and you don't have to get stuck too in just like the one field you're in, because there's other things that complement stuff you're doing, you know.
Right, and the soft skills,
Yeah.
as well as I always talk about learning the technical skills of your job, but
Sure.
also the soft skills of
Yeah.
leadership, mentoring, teamwork, camaraderie,
Yeah,
all
for
those
sure.
different things.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to leadership, I mean, you don't want to be hated, you know, but you can't be too soft either,
Right. Yeah.
because you don't want to be a pushover. But it all comes back to your team. How are you bringing that team up, and how are you relaying information, and how are you handling yourself under stress?
How do you, what do you read or listen to help improve yourself?
Man, I look to the guys I look up to. You know, I'll give a shout out to Aaron Snyder. He's a big hunter out here, owns Kafaru. When it comes to like that aspect, like that guy's a hard son of a bitch. He has a podcast I listen to. I learn a lot from that, and then I look to other like industry leaders and stuff like that. And then obviously you got your big ones like Jocko and
You have any books you'd like to read? I know.
I mean, I'm a big history kind of guy, so I like.
Oh, for that, did you get that from Mattis or just something you did?
No, I grew up. I like history, man. That was like the one class I actually paid attention in.
You learn from history.
Yeah, but you can also see like kind of gives you perspective on where we're all at in life, because you might think what you have is hard, and then you learn something about what happened 100 years ago, and you're like,
never mind.
I'm a whiny little bitch.
Yeah, that's what we talk about. And I talked to you beforehand about our El Camino a la Cumbre. We're on this mountain called Life, the road to the summit.
Right.
It's going to be hard. There's going to be different elevations. There's going to be different summits. There's going to be different paths. But we're all carrying a load and a pack.
Yeah, and it's nice to have the guys on their left and right that you can always rely on, man. That's huge. That's huge. You got. That's why second you said you need something, man. I'm on it, dude. Same with like Russ and Mike and Chad and some of the other guys in my life. Like,
kind of tell me about each one.
I mean, Chad, we just had him on here, but Russ is also a special forces operator. He's retired now. One of the most solid human beings I've had.
I agree. We've all worked together. I know that.
Yeah.
So.
He won't bullshit you. Mike is. I met Mike when I was 18. We got both fresh in the Marines, and then when we were both transitioning out, he's like, "Hey, man, I'm going to go to Colorado. You want to go?" I'm like,
oh, that's what brought you to Colorado.
I
forgot that. I did forget that.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't have anything else going on. I don't want to go back to North Carolina, so here we are.
So wow.
Yeah, and then obviously you. I mean, shit. We've been down the road through our experiences with entrepreneurship and hardship and
exactly
hooking and jabbing, man. We're just out here trying to get it. But.
That's absolutely true. That's what I always say. You're just we're generational difference, but we have the same mindset.
Right.
And you know me, I'm pretty hardcore for my age.
Yeah, but I mean that also carries like a ton of knowledge too. If you look at my friend list, there's not too many that are my age. Most of them got 10 years on me.
Oh, really?
And
wow.
When I look at that, I'm like, I think it's set up that way by happenstance.
And all mine are much younger than me.
Right. I could say, because maybe you're just like mentoring me, you know. Yeah. But as far as like my friends group goes, I've surrounded myself with people that I know, one, are gonna be there to support me, but also have way more knowledge than I do.
Learn.
Yeah.
Because that's pretty cool.
I feel like most of the time I don't know half the stuff that I need to know, but I can always rely on.
And you're always learning. You're always willing to learn.
Yeah. Yeah, you got to be always willing to learn, man. No one's always got the full answer or answers.
Yeah.
But no decision is the worst decision.
That's true. And I do remember a couple times, you know, in our life, we can't mention the particular circumstances, but you just told me, like, I don't care whether you go left or right, I'll follow you.
Yeah, man.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So we're going to wind this up. I mean, this is for me, it's an honor to always interview somebody of your caliber.
Oh, man.
And your background.
Man.
And your our deep friendship.
Yeah, that's huge.
And so what do you have for us?
Dude, you guys are on a path that is going to lead to somewhere. I can see that just from the outside looking in. And I just say keep going full bore, keep hammering, as Cameron Haynes would say, but
That's true.
Dude, keep it after it, man. The more you work, the more people that you bring into this that are also on the same mindset. Like this thing's just gonna go full blast, dude.
And our goal is to educate and elevate people.
Yeah,
you know,
if that's the goal, man, then that is going to attract so many good things.
And it is with our media team. They're pretty amazing. Celine's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Everybody around us, part of our board, everybody's just fully supportive, and everybody knows the mission, the vision.
From what I can see, this is going to be big, and it's great what you're doing. I don't think anyone can say that this isn't going to be something great.
Well, thank you. Well, I appreciate your time, Zach. I mean, as always, we'll have that beer and dinner or lunch as we always do, and thank you again.
Yeah, thank you, John.